Chris and I decided last year that we're going to go full bore in what we call music ministry. And if any of you go to contemporary service that has the guitars and drums and that kind of thing, you know what I'm talking about. It's, getting into worship, and we did the Facebook Live thing for a while at the beginning of this, I don't even want to call it a pandemic, but at the beginning of all this stuff, we got into that, and then got into some writing again. And so the last two songs we've written, are coming out of the study that we're doing in what we call end time events. I think if ever there's been a time in the history where people are questioning, are we in the end times? I think it's been the last year and a half. I think if you haven't thought that way, you're missing it. I think you got your head buried in the sand. But it's pretty obvious to see, and we see things happening. So we started writing about these things in our songs. And so our last two songs, My Faith Will Rise and Miracle, are centering around these end time events before Christ's return to earth. And so when I say I'm happy, I'm healthy, I feel terrific, it's because I feel like we're heading up to the greatest time in history. When I was younger, I used to hear people say, when I was growing up in the church, they'd say, oh, how wonderful would it have been to be living during the time of Christ, to be able to see Jesus and the 12 disciples. But then think of it this way. So here we are at the end of time, living in the greatest time in history, when we're expecting Christ to return and take care of all this. We've got a controversy going on between basically good and evil, controversy between Christ and Satan. And this has been playing out our entire existence on this planet. And it's coming to a head. I mean, we're in the final act in the play. And the universe is watching this to see how it's going to turn out. And fortunately, if you read the Bible and you understand it, we know who's going to win in the end. And so we want to be on that side. So basically, I'm not setting dates. I'm not talking about time it's going to happen. I'm just saying that I feel it coming. I see things happening from the book of Revelation that are going on right now and that are leading up to this. And one of the warnings, one of the final warnings in the book of Revelation, it's chapter 14, and it's verses 6 through 12. So Revelation chapter 14, 6 through 12. So there's these three angels, and they're given messages. Each one has a message. The first one is worship God, the Creator. So this end time thing we're going through here is about worship. Are you going to worship God, or are you going to worship Satan? You're going to worship the good, you're going to worship the evil. That's the first message. All right, the second message, Babylon is fallen. So the entity identified in the book of Revelation as the beast is fallen. He seems like he's in control right now, but Babylon is fallen, and Babylon means confusion. There's so much confusion in the world. All right, and then the third message refers to the beast, the image to the beast, and his mark, and avoiding the mark of the beast. Well, if you look at this past 15 months, 16 months, it's pretty easy to see how quick things can change. And I think the things that have been happening, they're seeing if we can comply with, just changes, things that are going on. They want to see if they can manipulate us to follow along. All right, so I'm not saying what's been going on with the masks or the vaccine or anything like that is the mark of the beast. I'm saying it's easy to see that it's coming, that they're preparing us for this. And when I say they, who knows? Somebody's in control. Ultimately, Satan's at the top and he's in control. So let's say Satan. And so I fully believe that the beast is identified in the Bible, and you can track it and follow it along for centuries. And the beast has a mark of his authority. And they talk about, we talk about the computer chip, and some people think the vaccine, and being in the hand or in the forehead. I'd like to have you think a little bit about it. I don't think it's some kind of a chip or a tattoo that's going to happen. I think it's more of a spiritual, like a lot of things in the book of Revelation are spiritually oriented. It could be like on the hand, it represents your work and what you do. In the forehead represents your mind and how you think. So I believe that we'll possibly be accepting the mark of the beast by how we think or what we do. More of the spiritual side or the work side. And so Chris and I have been studying this, and we created a blog site if you're interested. If anybody's interested, just message me and we'll direct you to the blog site and give you some information. We can also answer questions. We feel that we're on the right track on this, and we're going with it. I mean, when you look at the things going on in this world, it's incredible how fast things have changed. Now, I think if you look back years and years and years, you can see things that have just crept in and are gradually building up to this time to where all of a sudden it's like exponential growth. Whoa, there we are. And I'm speaking to you from my heart. I didn't plan this. I'm just telling you what I think. You can call me crazy. I don't care. They're talking about UFOs now. Whatever. I believe this with all my heart. Now, the thing is, the most important thing about all this and the end time events is if you've had a relationship with God, come back to him. Ask for forgiveness through the Son, Jesus, and believe that he'll forgive your sins, and he will. And hey, I've got sin in my life. I'll be the first one to admit that. I'm just glad for redemption. I wish that our society could have the Christian concept of redemption. You're looking back 20 years, 30 years on something somebody said way back then, and they're holding them accountable now. I mean, it's craziness. You can't forgive that person for something they did 20 years ago. God will forgive us. He even said, if you can't forgive your brother, how's he going to forgive you? So I just encourage you all, if you've got something against somebody, forgive them, and go on with your life. Be happy. And at the risk of just rambling too long, I'm just going to cut this off now and say thanks for being my friend on Facebook and in life. And I appreciate you all. If anybody, like I said, has any questions on any of this, feel free to message me. I'll share with you what I know and what I've discovered. And you could think I'm crazy or not, but I want to put it out there because I don't want anybody to say, what, you knew this and you didn't tell us? Well, I'm telling you now that it's time to come back to God. It's time to come to Christ through Jesus, accept his forgiveness, and just be prepared for this end times.